Sixers lose last night, but the effort was there. A little short-handed. They play the Hawks. The Hawks have kind of owned them recently, but some good points in that. I want to talk about that. Also, this team kind of playing out the string here. Marc Jackson joins me for a look at the Sixers moving forward here. Marc, welcome back. How are you, pal?
I'm outstanding. How are you?
Good, man. And I know the last couple of weeks, I wanted to start off with this because the last couple of times we've talked, you have been really praising the play of Richaun Holmes. And last night, I wanted to get your take on what you saw from him in that matchup with a guy like Dwight Howard. He was one guy last night that if you're watching this team, he really jumped off the TV last night.
Yes, he did. Richaun Holmes, to me, has been a consistent professional. You know, last year, this year, when his minutes would be up and his minutes would be down, when he get the DMPs, no matter what, his effort's always there. He's always there supporting his team. You know, once again, yes, last night against an elite offensive big man like Dwight Howard, he proved his worth. Do I think Richaun Holmes is a starting center in his NBA? No. But I do think he is a rotational big man in this NBA that can help a team make a big-time playoff run.
Yeah, what are some of the things, I mean, right now he seems like he's getting by on athleticism and, you know, energy, but what are some of the things that you would like to see him work on so that he can maybe make another jump next year and be, you know, he's not going to be a starter, obviously, with Joel here, hopefully, you know, injuries aside, but what do you want to see Richaun Holmes work on this offseason?
I want to see Richaun Holmes work on the ability to be able to post up a little bit. You know, right now he's a pick and roll kind of a player. He also has the capability of picking and pop all the way out to the three-point line. But I would like to see every now and then him try to take a man on the post and a team be able to throw the ball down to him and for him to create either a basket or a foul situation. You know, because even with Joel Embiid, you know, it's times that you wish he would play a little bit more back to the basket just to kind of soften the defense up a little bit. I constitute the big man posting up as in boxing a body blow. You know, kind of slow the pace, slow the tempo down, stop the bleeding. You know, one thing I would like for Holmes to work on is his post-up game because I think he's an adequate defender. I think he has range all the way out to the three-point line, and I really think his hustle and his ability to change shots around the basket will help the 76ers.
Marc Jackson, Sixers pre- and post-game live. You saw him last night after the Sixers lost to the Hawks, and Dario Saric said last night that he was tired. He said all these games, you know, he admitted international play, the Olympics, all these games have kind of caught up to him. I guess that's not ridiculous to say at this point of the season for a young kid who's played a lot of games. Last night he said, I was excited in my mind, in my heart, but my body just wasn't there.
Yeah, you know, and now I was asked this question, do you think it's a kind of a cop-out excuse or what? For some players, I would say yes, but knowing the rigors that Dario Saric has been through since the age of 16, playing professionally in Europe, first for Sabona, then for Efes Pilsen in Turkey, my former team, and then playing for his national team, coach, and qualifying for the Olympics. You know, he's been on a 2-year, 3-year run without a break. His longest break might have been 4 to 5 days in 3 years. Now, remember, in European basketball, their mindset as coaches are a lot different. They believe on practicing twice a day the entire year.
Wow.
And going hard. Not no shoot around, I mean going hard, running, get on a line, let's run a bunch of sprints. You know, they believe in if we run you hard in practice, you'll play better in games, which is a little backwards in my thinking, but that's truly how they think. You know, so he hasn't had 3 years off because he had to qualify the summer before last. Then his fast summer to play in Olympics, so he has not had a break. So he deservedly can say he is literally fatigued.
Yeah, and as he said, look, I was excited in my mind, in my heart, but I just didn't have it last night. And I guess, you know, that's what happens late in the season for a lot of young teams. They're not used to playing the back-to-backs. You got a lot of, you know, travel, as we discussed at length last week, what the travel's like. But what is it like when you were on a team like this that is just kind of playing out the string? You've been on teams, I'm sure, that, you know, these last 2 weeks are not the easiest.
No, it's not because, you know, first of all, for young guys, like especially for Dario and TLC, this has to be a shock for them because, respectfully, a lot of their teammates already have vacation plans. They're probably talking about where they're going in the summer. And, you know, for Dario and TLC, who's played in the vigors of Europe, they're like, what are you guys talking about? We still have eight games left. And, you know, so they probably would still this year will not understand the way some American players think. well, as far as having a vacation plan when you know you're not making the playoffs. So that's going to be something that is going on in the locker room. They kind of think about, I don't understand these players. What are they talking about? But, when you play on a team that's not quite winning, that's down, and you know you're not going to make the playoffs, and to be relatively young, that's that veteran leadership can help a lot because it can make you not play hard. And what I mean by that is you can listen to people in the locker room, listen to your teammates, and then kind of make your mindset going from wanting to compete to just kind of wanting everything to be over with so you can hurry up and start your vacation. But for this team, you just got to fight. And, Brett Brown has done an excellent job no matter who's on the roster, no matter who has a green light to play, a yellow light to be on minutes restriction, or a red light can't go. He's been able to get this ball club to play hard. And I think that's a two-part thing. I think that's Brett Brown being able to get through to his players, but also having blue-collar worker players such as T.J. McConnell, Richaun Holmes, Gerald Henderson. These guys know, and these guys are not quote-unquote superstars, and they know they have to bring their A game every night.
Marc Jackson's with us. I'm interested to get your take. The Sixers started the season. You had Noel, Okafor, Embiid. Holmes was kind of the fourth guy. Now, three of those guys are out. Holmes is kind of in, and then Sean Long has stepped in. What do you make of him? Is he another big guy that the Sixers are going to have to evaluate? Does he have an NBA future?
Sean Long is playing very good. It seems like he's getting better and better every game. He's adapted to the NBA game from the D-League. He's starting to get the speed up the pace of the game. He's starting to evolve a little bit. So it's funny, in the beginning of the year, we have too many big guys, too many centers. Now we don't have enough. We have to pull my old friend from Spain, Thiago Splitter, into lineup versus the Brooklyn Nets. And I don't know if you watched that game closely, but he was doing okay until one time they had to get back on D, and he had to sprint down the court. And he just looked hobbled. He literally went to limping. He literally went to limping, and he was really struggling. So all they have now is Richaun Holmes and Sean Long, because I don't even think if I'm the coaches, and I won't even try to put Thiago Splitter back in the game for the remainder of the season, just going by how did he look running against the Nets.
And that's obvious that last night, they were shorthanded and they didn't use him.
Exactly. Deservedly so. He shouldn't have been in the game. He didn't look well, and I know it's been 2 years since he played. And he said it has a calf strain. So I don't think it's fully healed. But it's kind of funny. We was complaining about we have too many bigs. Now we don't have enough. And, especially against Brooklyn when Sean Long and Richaun Holmes got 3 fouls both in the first half. Then we had to pull Thiago Splitter off the shelf and put him in the game. You're kind of like, I wish we had Jahlil Okafor worried about now.
Yeah, so, okay, that leads us into the next thing. What is the deal with Okafor? Are they just kind of shelving him for the rest of the year? Brett Brown says, we're not going to rule him out from playing. It's still a mystery to me how the guy had meniscus surgery in March of last year and is still having issues with that knee.
Yeah, something's not right. I don't want to say a botched surgery, but maybe something didn't go wrong right with the procedure. Maybe he's still recovering. He's not able to get 100%, and that's pretty strange to me considering he wasn't. I know he played. He was on and off of playing time, playing a lot one game, then none. The next in 10 minutes, one, then 20 minutes the other, then none. But that should help your knee heal because you're not playing every night. After probably January, NBA teams don't really practice hard, so he's getting a rest. For him to be in and out of the lineup with the minutes he's getting,
right,
and for him to still be having knee problems, respectfully, I don't know if they're going to be able to trade this guy this offseason. I really don't. I think they have to come in next year looking at him as maybe the backup center, with Richaun Holmes being the third, or maybe Richaun Holmes being the backup center and him being the third. But, with this meniscus injury and him sitting and playing, I don't think any team would take a risk trading for him. If so, you're going to get the bare bones minimum for him. So they have to evaluate, Sean Long, and Sean Long will be part of it. Respectfully, I think they would need to do an upgrade. They can't have Joel Embiid, Richaun Holmes, and Sean Long. Maybe look to upgrade. Maybe Jahlil Okafor is that backup, and maybe Richaun Holmes is the third big, or vice versa. But Sean Long has proven himself to maybe be able to stick in his league. I would like to see him with a full-strength roster. How can he contribute? But this is his coming-out party. I made the example when I was at Golden State. We had to get a special waiver from the NBA to sign more players because we had a bunch of major injuries that we had to eventually have our roster. I think 22 different players is on our roster and in our lineup within the last 3 months of the season. So that was my coming out party. That's when my minutes went through the roof, and that's when I made a name for myself. So these guys got to look at it as that.
Was this a lost season for Okafor? I mean, this is essentially, right? I mean, he regressed. Yeah. He regressed on the court. There's no question about that. I mean, last year, fans paid money to go see him play. He was the guy you went to go see play. Now he seems like an afterthought.
I agree. Now, I know a lot of it didn't help with his in and out of lineup in the beginning, trying to play with Joel Embiid, then not playing. Then this experiment's not going to work, and just sitting him, then trading him. Oh, it didn't go through. Now he's back with the team. None of that helps the game. People say, oh, you just go out there and play. Yeah, but it's not that simple. It's chemistry. It's things that are equation that add up to your performance. So I believe that once that trade was made when Nerlens was shipped to Dallas, I thought from that point on, Jahlil Okafor would start to get his legs back under him and play a lot better basketball. But it seemed like since the trade that sent Nerlens Noel to Dallas, it seems like he's had more issues with his knee than he did before the trade was made. So, I really don't. I think this is an off year for him. Literally, he might as well chalk this one up as in a loss column. Now he better get himself right in the off season because, now people looking at him as liability. Last year as a rookie, people was like, man, we could start a franchise and build around this guy. To a point was, I don't even know if I want him on the team.
Right.
That's how some general managers are thinking.
Yeah, because it seemed like once they got rid of Noel and Embiid was hurt, it was kind of like, look, you've got the freedom to go out there and be the guy you were last year, and it seemingly that he didn't have that in him. And I don't know if that's because of the knee or did he just regress so much because the teams get tape on him and, was his offensive – because he seemingly still has a pretty decent offensive game. That's why it seems like he still struggles offensively. We know his defensive problems, but it's seemingly that offensively he's not the same player he was.
I don't know. I know his rhythm was off because, like I said, with all of the moving parts that was going on the roster and with their timing and the playing time in the beginning of the season. And so the trade, I knew that was going to throw his rhythm off. But to me, I don't know. I don't think teams have gotten tape on him because if you was going to be able to stop him, you would have been able to stop him his first year when he was averaging 17 and 8 with a team that didn't have a lot of talent around him. So if you was going to stop him, that you had plenty of tape on him then,
right?
Because he was pretty much the only legitimate scorer. So you couldn't stop him then. So now it should be easier when the Senators have more of a well-built roster, a bit more talent around him. It should be easier for him to even score more. So I don't think the team's got tape on him. I'm not set up as no way. I just think it's an issue going on with either his knee, or with him as a mental psyche. With the things the Sixers put him through as far as playing him and not playing him this year.
Because you would think like maybe at this point late in the year that the Sixers should have been maybe running the offense through him just to show other teams, hey, this guy still could be an offensive force, right?
Oh, of course. And I truly believe when they shipped Nerlens off and they sat Embiid, I really think that was the philosophy. Like, we know we have, as Okafor. We know we have 17 and 8. Let's get the ball to him. But all these injuries, my knee is hurting, I can't go today, or I just thought they kind of chalked it up like, man, maybe he just don't want to be here, or maybe he just don't have the legs under him now. We got to go through Dario now. And that's been Dario's coming out party.
That's true. But Dario has really grabbed, that's been encouraging too, that he has grabbed that role to say, look, we don't have everything else. I'll grab the role as the guy late in the game or a go-to guy. I think that's one big thing the team has learned this year.
Oh, yeah, of course. Dario, I'm a big advocate of Dario Saric. But I will tell you this. His development this year, he's on a perimeter this year more so than anything, beating guys off the dribble. He was always gritty and crafty around the basket, able to finish. But for him to be taking guys off the dribble, to add that three-point range from NBA three-point line, has been remarkable to watch. His development and the process of him getting to the player he is now, to the point where Indiana 3 games ago started doubling him and game planning for him. I'm just so happy with the way he's developed as a player for this organization that it has to be a big bright spot going into next season, into the offseason, a big bright spot with Dario Saric as coming out party. And then think about this. This is going to be his first off season in the summer in over 3 years. So he's developed. He's gotten better. Now he's going to get some rest this summer and come back bigger and stronger than ever next year. That's the big bright spot of this year.
That's a good point. Marc Jackson, Sixers pre- and post-game here on the Sports Bash. Mark, you had the Jones fracture. We talked about that a lot with the foot. The other day, there was some video of Ben Simmons dunking and landing on that foot. Was that encouraging to see for you, a guy who's had that injury, or did you kind of say, yikes, young man, what are you doing?
You know, when I seen that, first thing, when I seen it do it, and he did it twice, I think he did it twice. He dunked twice, I believe.
And that was a heck of a dunk, by the way.
After I seen it, first thing I'm looking on the video is where the heck are the trainers? Where are the coaches telling them, what are you doing? Get out of here. Go in the locker room. That's the first thing I'm looking for. Something, hey, that's not a good look. We ruled you off of here. You can't, go at fake limp.
Right.
And act like you can barely shoot without jumping. But now y'all here dunking and doing these tremendous dunks. I mean, it's just not a good look for the 76ers. And you know what? You can't blame him because he's just excited. He's just an Energizer bunny. He's built up. He's like a young horse. He's built up. He's like, you kept him stalled. Now he wants to be released and run wild. So you can't blame him. But that's what those guys, the trainers, the assistant coaches, hey, Ben, don't do that. Don't do that. That's a bad look for our organization. That's where they got to come around and grab him and take him locker room. Like, you can't do that, man, because then it's going to make people more furious that you're not playing.
Agreed. But was it at least encouraging that he's able to do that and land and not seemingly have any issues? For a guy who's had that injury, I think you told us multiple times that you kept breaking that foot, that he was able to do that and doesn't seem to have any issues. Is that at least encouraging? Yes,
it's encouraging from a fan point of view. It's encouraging to see him doing that. But we always knew he could jump through the gym. So is that showing us, oh, yes, he's back, he can jump again? That's really showing me that maybe he's ready for the all season. Maybe he's ready for the going to all season, get ready to work. Maybe he's ready. I'm looking forward to that. Right now, 8 games to go. It's not going to help us with him playing the game. It's not going to help us with him involved in that. Let's let these guys.
Do you want to see him? Do you want to see him play summer league again or no?
Yes, I do, because I do, because you can't save him if he's completely healed going into the all season. He's missed an entire season of playing basketball. So I would like to see him in the summer league, see him get his NBA rhythm, playing against other NBA guys, not necessarily the highest of the tier, but at least getting his legs wet, his feet wet in there, and going through 2-3 weeks of practice, playing in games, getting ready, getting an NBA rhythm, getting the speed down. I would like to see that. But knowing the 76ers, they'll probably keep him out of summer league.
Right.
Which is going to bring up more questions.
What about Embiid? You want to see him play summer league or no?
No. I'm actually okay. I'm actually okay on Embiid. I mean, Embiid played in the NBA. He played about 30-something games.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with him. I just want to get him working out, because if they play him in the summer league, that means they probably going to restrict his minutes even more going into the next season. So I'll leave him alone. Just let him work out. Let him play with the guys in the summer as far as at the workouts before the season starts. Most guys work out together like 4 weeks before camp in the town they're going to play in. Let him play with those guys if he's healthy. See how he feels. Give him a week or two before training camp start, and then go into training camp with full force.
Yeah.
But knowing them again, the 76ers going to be extra cautious and maybe not let him participate as much in training camp, and going into the season, more questions, more ifs. The question is, with this lineup, with this team, how many wins can you forecast for the 76ers next year? I say, respectfully, you just got to look at who's on the court now, because everybody else who's not on the court is just a bunch of ifs.
Yeah.
So you can't count them. You can't see who they're going to get in the draft, because you don't know where they're going to pick in the draft. These got to go in the question for ifs and just say if everybody's healthy, hopefully they can get 10 more wins than I think they finished this year, and hopefully get near the 500 mark.
Well, right now, 28-47, so that is an 18-game improvement. You don't see teams improve by that big of a jump. I know going from 10 to whatever is not like crazy, but to go from 10 to 28, what are you hoping for? What are you hoping for in development in terms of win total for next year? With it's interesting because you're hoping for a healthy Simmons and Embiid with Saric. You got a draft pick here, maybe 2. You still have 5 draft choices in the next 3 seasons. It seems that the ceiling is not there yet. The ceiling is still a little higher.
Oh yeah, the ceiling is going to be high. Every year from now on is going to be high.
Right.
It really is. Because you think about it. If you think about the way the 76ers roster is made up now, if you add a legitimate point guard, to that whole mix, I even see 10 more wins from this year. Right now they're at 28. Let's say for the next 7 games, they don't get no more wins.
Yeah.
God forbid. Say that happens. If you put a legitimate point guard, if maybe they can slide into the top 5 in the draft or top 4 in the draft, and you got folks shoot the ball. You say you got Jackson, You got Tatum. Say if somebody decides to pick Jackson and Tatum, and then leaves you the choice with Fox or Ball. If you can get one of those two at the point guard position, I really think you can get another. And with the roster you have now, you can at least add 10 more wins to that, at least.
Well, you have a returning. You would have a Ben Simmons returning, who hopefully plays a full year, and hopefully you get more than 31 games out of Joel.
But I'm just going knocking those guys out. Say if you don't see them next year, I'm just going by their current roster.
Oh, okay.
I just, like I said, Joel Embiid is an if. Ben Simmons is an if. How many games are you going to get out those guys next year? I don't know. It'd be nice to get 75 games out those guys, 70 games. But is that realistic? As of now, no.
Right.
But, if you just I think if they just add a point guard, they add 10 more wins.
Well, they got Brooklyn.
TJ's been playing great. But I think with another young point guard that can give you a little bit more, 10 more wins at minimum.
They got Brooklyn and the Knicks still on the schedule, so there's a possible 2. That would get you to 30. That would be a 20-game improvement, which would be a successful season. Would you deem this season a success?
Yes, with all the moving parts, with all the injuries, yes, I do. I do see it as a success because with this lineup, with this team, the way the team has been playing and fighting and gritty and blue-collar, I like it. No matter who's in the lineup, who's out the lineup, these guys come to fight. They come to play, and I love every minute. I love watching. I really do because, a team are coming in, they only got 7 to 8 guys. But you watching this team all year, say, yeah, they got 7 to 8 guys. They're a wounded animal, and that's the most dangerous animal is a wounded animal.
Last night was a big character there. That they had the 8 guys, and they went after that team and hung in there for, was it 83-81 on that dunk by Anderson, and the place was into it. By the way, speaking of people with the Sixers, season tickets next year are already through the roof. They've sold more season tickets already now than they did all of last year. They're number 1 in the league. So I think people share your excitement there, Mark.
Yes, they should. They should, because the expectations, you got your fingers crossed about Ben Simmons, about Embiid, Joel Embiid. You have your fingers crossed, and then they're going to get a high draft pick. Your mindset is like, man, where else can we go? Where else can we go? If we can get those 2 guys healthy along with the current roster, and let's say they don't make no other moves, just get those 2 guys healthy with the current roster and then draft a point guard. I mean, wow. It should be through the roof. I'm excited.
Marc Jackson, everybody, Sixers pre- and post-game live. He is heading he's at the airport. I'm glad that we could keep you company at the airport. That could always be a boring wait for the flight. So this is safe flight to Tampa, Mark, and we will catch up again next week, pal.
Yes, sir. See you next week.